that's big business. Hit 10, but that's big pimpin'. My potential, that's infinite. Pin game insane. Make hits like King Griffin, a 10th inning.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, episode 21 of the 10th Inning Podcast. I'm Sean. He's Dan. We got another very special guest. And right now, Dan is just having a hell of a time with the sun. I mean, people always said he was bright. I guess they meant this.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to be here, guys. I really am. Oh, fucking shit. All right, we're getting into it, guys. This is shortstops. This is shortstops. I'm holding up a picture here, and all it's doing is putting Didi on the picture. And frankly, the nice part about that is the picture's just Didi. So it kind of didn't really matter that much. The glare is terrible.
Am I backwards?
You?
Yeah.
You are backwards.
Oh, that blows. Okay, well, that's the Didi jersey.
What a start to an episode, folks. Wow. All right.
Blue game. I'm not going to lie to you.
This is like the third in a row.
Yeah, no, it's not getting good. Not getting any better.
Dan,
you're running the podcast, man. I'm not doing shit today. I mean, Frank. Oh, Matt introduces himself, okay?
Yeah, give yourself an intro.
Yeah, I'm Matthew Savallo, aka Didi's Nuts, aka J Rams Butt Slams. A little bit of a rebranding because J Rams pretty amazing. But Didi lover. Second time on the podcast. I'm happy to be here, boys. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. I must say, I really like the hat.
Yeah, it came in the mail. It had a tag on it, but I don't know. Someone cut it off, I guess. I'm trying to resell this after I get you guys to sign it. Hoping like 10 years, like $1 billion it'll go for.
Well, this is nice, guys. See, look how great we all look. You can't see me because I am being brought to heaven as we speak. However, you want to look this good. I mean, look at this hat. You can't see it, but I'm telling you, it looks great. They look fantastic. Be a part of this. Be the fourth guy with a hat. Come on.
It's a nice hat. It's a really nice hat.
If no hat has fit my head clean.
There you go. No hat has fit my head.
That is a fact.
You got a tiny head. This fits though. This hat does fit.
I have a tiny head.
Yeah? I'd like to compare head sizes.
I just got a couple hats. This hat right here, it's a 6 7/8. Just fits.
Yeah, man, I can't wear any size that they sell in stores.
I that's why I love the
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
That's the best thing that's ever happened.
And I love the backwards look.
Oh yeah, but this is a good backwards hat.
100%.
Good backwards hat.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
I think it fits me a little better backwards. Hell, I think we're all looking good with backwards hats.
Oh yeah, especially with the lines.
Mm.
Well, Sean, today's shortstops, right? And
It is.
we got Matt Savallo. He plays left side of the infield for our Butchers. Could be our shortstop one day. Currently our third baseman. Would hate to see him move. Would hate to see him not move because he's so beautiful. Everything. We should play both at the same time. However, we got to talk about 10 shortstops that are playing in the majors next year. Obviously, we won't have a season this year because no one likes baseball. But for next year, basically,
Manfred
we're
hates
looking
it.
at.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, I'm gonna honestly just throw it right at you, man. Just see what you got. Matt's list is probably gonna be bad. What is your 10th shortstop?
Would you like me to start out with some of my shout outs? People that I wish I could have included, but they just didn't make it.
This guy, he watches the podcast.
I watch the podcast.
That's an answer of a man who watches the podcast. Please take a King Kirsch. Take 45 minutes to shout your players, and then we'll get into the regulars.
So I'm going to be quick about it. So there's 3 players that I wanted to address that I wanted to put in. They just didn't really fit. I'm going to start with 1. I ranked Jorge Polanco as a shortstop. I think he's going to be the starting shortstop for the Twins this year, whatever that means for the Twins. But he's a good player, but compared to this class of shortstops, he just doesn't make the top 10 for me.
Why do you think he's going to start at short? Who do you think is going to start at second?
I was on that's just real simple. I was on Fangraphs. I checked. He looked like he was going to be the starting shortstop. I also don't know who else is going to be playing shortstop for the Twins, or even second base, or even third base.
Okay.
I couldn't name you 2 people on the Twins roster. So
just a personal question, but yeah, continue.
Anyway, so he's not. It doesn't really matter. That's why I want to start with him. Want to shout out Willy Adames.
Yeah.
I think that he's not a top 10 shortstop now, but maybe now that he can see the ball out of Tropicana, he may just climb up in that ranking. So I'm also a big fan of the Brewers. Cool name. And lastly, I have to shout him out. I don't like him, which is Xander Bogaerts.
Okay.
Wait, what?
He started out. He's my number
top
11.
10?
He's my number 11.
Oh my God!
Not putting him in.
X-Man didn't make the top 10. Wow.
Yep. This is how I'm starting.
They have to just fucking say something, Bucky, man. Every guest.
What?
Every guest.
Say it. Let me hear. What do you want to say?
I like it.
Yeah.
I don't like him. But Bogaerts, I will say this in your defense, and we'll talk about this later. He'd make my top 10. However, I've always viewed Bogaerts, at least the last three years or so, as like so underrated, like probably top 3 shortstop type guy. And when doing my scouting, I was like, I might be overrating this guy a little bit. And I think he probably fell in the latter half of the top 10 for me, surprisingly to me. So maybe because I started out so high, he still stayed in. But listen, I got some shockers too. I don't think my 10th is going to make anybody happy.
I just
want
like
Anthony Rizzo.
That's true.
Gary
With
Sanchez.
Bogaerts, with me,
Gary Sanchez, yeah.
He's not a very good defensive shortstop. We can all agree on that.
That did hurt him, yeah.
And when comparing his offensive numbers with everybody else, I mean, he is 800 plus like career OPS guy.
Yeah.
But I think him as a shortstop doesn't do it for me. I'm also a Yankee fan, so these next two are actually this little grouping is just a little bit of a bias grouping. That's how I want to start off. Thought it'd be good.
I like that, man.
Yeah. So including with my bias here, we're just jumping into it. Tim Anderson is my 10th rated shortstop. I think people have him higher most of the time. For me, I have him for fantasy. So that's where some of my bias comes in. I think he's a top 10 shortstop, but his offensive numbers are very weird. He doesn't walk at all. I think he walks the lowest of any shortstop ever. The 3.5% for his career. He loves the hit. He always have his 300 plus batting average, I think, right? I think the last couple of years at least. But his offense is like, he's not like a big slugging guy. He's very like top of the lineup, but I would like to see him have a higher OBP. He's like low 300s for OBP, so it's kind of tough. Defensively, I thought he would be better defensively, but doing some research, he wasn't like in that elite class of defending. So I don't know if that really made up for his offensive, like not like great offensive numbers, if that makes any sense. Yep. So I started with him 10, and then we'll work around there because he's not a big OPS type of guy. And I'll stop there.
I'll get more into him later. I think he's going to make my list, but also very surprising for me. I was very low on. I think Bogaerts and Tim Anderson probably did the opposite effects for me. We came out the opposite way, to be honest with you. High and low, and then we did a spot. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I do not like either of them. Just
I have a qualm about that one when it comes up later. I'm a big TA guy. I don't know.
I love him. I mean, I love such a fun guy. I have something else we're gonna talk about when we get later. I have a little surprise for you guys. But he's got such good energy, and you kind of want that guy as the face of your franchise because he's so cool.
Yeah.
Sean, you want me to go second, or are you gonna go?
You can go second.
Sure. Well, guys, I got to give my shout outs first. Obviously, we ranked probably 18 shortstop. All right. So I'm going to go through it very quickly. Coming in, all right, at number 18 for regular. Remember, I'll give you regular and then fantasy. So, Matt, it's all right. It's going to get worse.
Get comfortable.
18? I pretty much always do 18. It's just seems like that's where like they could make it.
I have 18 players that I ranked, but I didn't put all of them into my shout outs.
Well, like I did so much work. I'm like, well, I might as well just give the fans what they want. You know, this is what they want. Everyone knows they want me to talk for 45 minutes.
More of the king.
So 18 for me, Willy Adames, okay? I think he's going to have 22 bombs with a 260, 330 on base, and 6 bags. The defense wasn't great. I do think he's the 17th best fantasy guy. That's all I'll say about him. If he had a little bit more defense, I think he could have moved up. But the OBP still being down at 330 and off of only really one half a good year. I can't give him much more than that. But I do like him. Do like the prospects of him. Coming in at 17 for regular, but 14, a little bit of a jump here for fantasy. We got my guy, Raul Oh Cool, changed his name to Alberto Mondesi. Okay. If he play again, I am a guy when I do my rankings because I like people like Clayton and Seager. We got to go if they played a full season because if we don't, I'll execute myself. So if this guy plays a full season, the one number you don't like to see is the on base is going to be under 300. So I got him at a 295 on base, but the homers, 18 homers, 255 average. And drum roll, please, 62 bags. The guy's never been on pace for less than 60 stolen bases in a season. Okay, it's literally insanity what he does. I think he played 30 games last year. I think it was 15, 16 bags. It's a stolen base every other game for him. He could have been Ricky Henderson. He has enough pop and enough speed, but he cannot stay healthy. And he also does not walk at all. Talk about Tim Anderson. I think his walk rate, I don't even know what it is, but his on base is under 300. I'll reiterate it. He's never had, I think he's had an on base at 305 was his highest. And it was like a great year for him. But speed and power in a fantasy that plays. Number 16 and also 16 for fantasy, Dansby Swanson. Guys, I think we need to stop the whole Dansby Swanson hype. Maybe it's just Zeke and it bothers me. He's okay. He's a top 15-ish fringe shortstop. You want him on your team as a starter, but he had more pop last year. But I mean, 26 homers, 255 with a 328 on base, 8 steals. He's not getting you an exorbitant amount of steals. He's got a 4 for defense and leadership. He's like, okay, he's a better leader than he's a defender. The little extra pop is okay, but you're hitting under 260 and your on base is under 330. What are you doing for me, really? Coming in at 18th for fantasy, but 14th, I believe, for regular. That's Nicky Lopez, Nicky Gloves over there. I mean, the defense is just wild out of here. 3 homers with a 280 average, but 340 on base and 22 steals to go with it. He's got speed. He gets on base better than the other guys we've talked about. And he hits for a decent average. He hit over 300. I think that's going to come down. Babbitt was pretty high, but the defense is what it is. I like me some Nicky Lopez, not for fantasy though. But if I'm starting a ball club, you like it. What do we at here, Sean? 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. We got, might not like this. 13 for fantasy though. We got Javier Baez. 27 homers, 262. Guy doesn't get on base though. 315 on base with 15 steals. It's moderate speed. He's got great defense. Leadership is, in my opinion, the worst in the league. That gets him to a 3.5 on the defense and leadership. Because I group those.
Thumbs down, fans.
Such an ass.
I mean, I love him. I do think his defense is wild. He's very flashy. I think he gets knocked a little bit for defense, like some of the really good defenders do, because he gets the balls that he shouldn't and then makes errors. So I do think he's a decent defender. Love the MLB logo on the back of the neck, but too much of a hassle for real life. But I'll take him as a top 15 in fantasy. Now, this is where you guys aren't going to like this. I am going to be by far the lowest on this guy. This is going to get really bad, really ugly, really quickly. Number 13 in real life. Number 11 for fantasy, though, if that is any consolation, and it's not. I have Wanda Franco. I think that it's just a little bit too much hype here, guys. The minor league numbers are decent, but he's never had power. And I mean, not that I'm a power-only guy, obviously. The defense and leadership didn't help because he's not old enough to be a leader and didn't play enough defense for me to really be able to tell what he's going to do at the major league level. I'm sure he'll be confident. But I have him at 13 homers, and I don't think that's – I really don't think that's like me really downgrading him. It's basically what he's on pace for. And if you look at his his expected slugging to his real slugging last year, he overperformed. He's never been a homer guy in the minors, but the guy has great bat to ball skills. He's going to hit 292, but he also doesn't walk a crazy amount. His strikeout to walk ratio is insane. Like it's like 11% to like 8%, but his walk rate is also under 10% in that same breath. Which for me, if you're going to be a high walk guy, you got to be a little bit higher than that. His on base is really on pace for 345, 350, and that's really not that elite. And as young as he is, and you think he's very athletic, he might get 5 steals next year. Like he's just not. He doesn't have speed. He doesn't have power, and his on base is average. So he's just hitting 292, and he's young and hasn't proven great defensive leadership yet. So for me, I love him as a prospect. I just don't see, he doesn't have any crazy tool other than the general bat to ball hit tool for me that I could project him to be like a top 10 shortstop this year. Sorry it took a little longer on that, but I'm sure they're going to talk a lot about him later, I would imagine. Number 12 in real life, we got Brandon Crawford. I think he's 15 for fantasy purposes. I hate this guy, just to be frank with everybody. 18 bombs, 272. The batting average is unsustainable. 340 on base with 4 steals, but 2 grade for defense and leadership. He's a little bit of a leader. Obviously, he's still filthy with the glove. I wish he wasn't. And here we go. We got 11. Guys, we're getting through it, man. 11 for real life. I need everybody. And I was going to put this guy at 1. I deadass was going to put Didi at 1. But I thought to myself, I'm like, I'm not going to do that because that will basically say, like, he's not actually ranked. Like, I don't actually think he's good. I was like, I'm going to actually do his numbers so that people understand where he actually is because he's underrated. 100% he's underrated. Whether I crazy overrate him or not, he is underrated, generally speaking. I think he's the 11th best shortstop in baseball. I'm doing the opposite of everybody. I'm throwing out 2020, okay? I'm throwing out the shortened season. And we're keeping the last full season he played, and we're projecting off of that. And if you project off that, folks, all right, we're going to get a guy with 25 bombs, which he's done 3 times already, a 282, which is generally where he sits when he has a full year, a 340 on base with 9 steals, a shitty defense, one of the greatest leaders you've ever seen. And I think the defense is overplayed just from the eye test that I got to see in New York. But listen, a lot of people say his defense is questionable. I don't know, man. 25, 282, 340, and 9, which is pretty much his 162 game average the last 3 or so seasons he's played. No number there is lacking. Like he has, and if you look at his fucking baseball savant, you'd see the worst hitter in baseball. 0%. Yes. 0% to every category. Yes. And he still does it. He still does it. And you know what that is, folks? Not disappointing. That's what he does. He goes up there. He says, screw my talent. I just don't want to disappoint right now. And he doesn't. That's Didi Gregorius. I'm starting a franchise. He's a lot higher than 11. But in real life, 11, fantasy 12. And here we are, guys. We made it. Give yourselves a round of applause. Number 10. This is going to be the antithesis to the Wanda Franco thing. Another hot take. I think the guy that we really should be talking about more, and no, I'm not going to say O'Neal Cruz, as we all would like me to say here, Bobby Witt Jr., I think, is going to come out the gate as a top 10 shortstop. I think his skills are much more projectable to reach into that top 10 this year. I think he's going to have almost an identical season. Get ready to Trevor Story. I do. I'm also not high on Trevor Story this year. I do think the mental probably played into his downfall last year, but I think the mental is going to be the same downfall as the not playing in Coors. So I think he probably saw what he was going to be not in Coors last year because they're going to counteract each other. However, we'll get into him later. I got Bobby Witt at 26 homers, a 272 average, a 340 on base with 24 steals. I mean, he was a 30-30 last guy in the minors. I think he could be close to a 25-25 guy. He was also 30-30 in much less than 160 games, just to be frank. The defense leadership isn't there yet, obviously. I need to see it. Good-looking guy, too. Matt will get into that later. But, yeah, 270 with 25 and 25 about, 340 on base. I don't know. I think Bobby Witt could easily be a top 10 shortstop this year.
I like that idea, too. Yeah. Sean, you go.
He didn't make my list, but I didn't even honestly consider him, to be honest with you. But on par with whatever Dan always does, he maybe overvalues the guys who haven't come up yet.
That's right.
You know, he might look like a genius, but he's certainly got a lot of potential, and I'm excited to see what he can do this year.
Yeah, I did the same thing, Sean. I know that he's going to come up and he's going to be a stud. I can probably project that he'll be better than the first like 3 or 4 people on the top 10 list. In terms of like 10 to like 6 or 7. But I just didn't want to do like a projection for him as well as much as I think that he's going to be a stud.
Yeah.
You're better at that. I'm not a scout.
Yeah. Dan's
not
good
yet.
projections.
One day, hopefully one day. Sean, I'd love to hear your 10th is, man. I'd love to not talk for the next 10 minutes if you don't mind.
All right, hey, you know, I can make that happen, or at least I can help that. I'll start off with my honorable mentions. So I had Nicky Lopez as well as my honorable mention. You know, basically you already covered everything, like on some of these guys. So I'm just gonna kind of, you know, say them and, you know, not to sound redundant. Other honorable mention I have is Wanda Franco. He also did not make my top 10. He was somebody who, see, when I made this list of shortstops, much like the second baseman in a sense, where I thought a lot of them were interchangeable. When I initially made my list, I had him at like 9, and then he went to 10, and then he just bounced off. Because there were actually some guys that I didn't realize, or not didn't realize, I kind of had forgotten about in a sense, or maybe didn't realize how good of a year they had, so they got bumped. So yeah, he was one of them who kind of was the unfortunate luck there, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's in their top 10 next year.
A lot of the general consensus I'm seeing is like he's like top 5.
Yeah, I saw that too. I don't understand.
That's why it was
not yet. If he's gonna do that, yeah.
He didn't even play. It wasn't even a full season. He came up like June.
He got like 70 games. Yep.
Yeah. Electrifying player. The guy is amazing. Him and Randy Rosarena are just great together. But I don't think he's top 10 worthy. But again, maybe people are projecting certain stats and whatnot, but I'm not doing that. Another honorable mention, as Dan said before, Brandon Crawford. I mean, the guy had a hell of a year last year. And really his numbers are better than some guys' numbers that I have in my top 10. But for whatever reason, when I see Brandon Crawford, I don't think top 10 shortstop in the year 2022. Maybe 2014, 15. Yeah, I could see that. But even though he had one of his best offensive years last year, 90 RBIs, hit I think 298. I mean, I don't think with those numbers, I don't think he'll ever crack my top 10 if he puts up those numbers and doesn't get in. And my last honorable mention is Willie Adames. You covered him before. Kind of had just one of the more interesting seasons we've seen. Was god awful for Tampa, and gets traded and just lights the world on fire. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was the eye thing in Tropicana. I don't know. But he really turned it around in the not even second half, like maybe like 2 months into the season when he got traded. It was a really early trade. And whenever a team makes a trade with Tampa, they're always like, oh, they're getting fleeced. Well, I think it worked out pretty well for Milwaukee there. Don't mind me just taking a quick sip of water.
That's great.
Yeah. Not sponsored by whatever bottle I just drank out of. Anyway,
that's gross.
No free ads.
No, it's not Dasani, not Dasani. Anyway, my 10th rated shortstop. I don't know where you guys have him ranked. I'm curious to hear what you say. I think I might have him undervalued if I'm being honest with you. Is Bo Bichette. I don't get a chance to watch him play a ton. You know, I don't really watch a heck of a lot of American League Baseball. But his numbers he put up last year offensively, at least. I know defensively he's not the best, but offensively numbers that can't be I guess overlooked is what I'm trying to say. So last year, the guy hit 298, which is always a good thing to do, especially now with the averages being put kind of devalued in a sense. Guy can knock in runs, 102 ribbies, 29 home runs, doesn't walk a lot. It's 40 walks to 137 strikeouts. That's something I would like to see change quite a bit. OPS over 800, 828. And the best part about him, he's 23 years old and he's on a team that is loaded with offensive talent. So I think he's just going to kind of build off it. I will say this, I don't think he's going to have the same year he had last year. That whole Toronto Blue Jays team had a weird career year type thing. I don't know if they can replicate that. I do anticipate he's going to come down a little bit, but I think he's going to nonetheless have a really good, productive year next year. And I'm looking forward to seeing where or what he can do moving forward. I'm curious to see where you crack your guys' lists.
I'll let you know later.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll talk about him.
Matt,
I
you
like
want to
it.
jump into number 9? We'll just keep doing that circle.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll just lead off every category and you'll just be like, ooh. So number 9, you're not gonna like this one. I put Javi Baez, and I think that with he's still a good defender. Yeah, he does do a little bit extra, and he's a little bit too much. But I think that he's still a solid defender. Defensive runs saved, I was looking at a lot. I don't really like any of the stats for measuring defense, so I kind of go off of like feeling, eye test, and he's still like a solid guy with the glove. With at bats, I hate the fact that he strikes out 30% of the time.
Can't handle it.
It hurts me, but he does make up for it with his like almost a 500 slugging. Not really, depending on the day, but his OBP's bad. It's hard to justify it. I think I like him as a shortstop with his glove and with some of the power that he can provide. I think that's really where it comes into play. I think his on base is kind of similar to Anderson's, and I think that's why the power is kind of and the fielding is what I brought. That's why I brought him above Anderson.
I'm going to go at you here. I am.
Yeah, go.
I normally don't do this to guests. My 2 things I'm going to say is I feel like Anderson and Baez's defense is similarly different, where it's like much different like ways about going about it, but similar production. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I can sure agree with it, just because I don't know too much about like their defense in terms of
like qualitatively, like when it comes out, like it ends up being pretty similar, like defensive wise. But Javi is just so much. He does so much extra, but then he makes extra issues by doing the extra. But Tim Anderson's like a pretty decent defender. The only other thing I'd ask you is if you're starting a team right now, you're the manager. Are you taking Tim Anderson as short, or are you taking Javi? You're taking the headache for the homers. You're taking the headache for homers.
I've already taken Anderson over Javi at this point. Yeah,
I know.
If you're bringing it into a club, it's a little bit different. That's pretty true.
You wouldn't even do it on your fan tracks, Rossi, if it was going to hurt Matt Olson's production.
That's true. They wouldn't be able to vibe together.
Oh, Matt Olson,
Tim Anderson.
Javi Baez? No. Holy shit.
Tim Anderson's a personality, but he's like cool. Javi Baez is a personality, and he's just an ass is the best way to put it. Sorry. Yeah, I can't. He's just something else. But I'd love to hear Sean talk about him when he gets the chance, because I haven't heard anything from him just yet.
Yeah. Oh, top 3, Matt.
He actually, I don't want to jump your turn here, Dan, but he's also my number 9. I really don't have too much to add, but I will say this about the strikeouts. As soon as he came to the Mets, his strikeouts were cut significantly down. I don't know what his approach changed. He started drawing more walks and striking out less, and he hit almost 300 with the Mets, which, ironically enough, he was our best player in the second half, and the rest of the team was just dog shit. But he really showed that if he wants to, he can actually draw walks and not strike out every other at bat. It's whether he wants to do that, because he had I think it was a runner-up for MVP in 2018 or 2017. If you look at his years, his strikeouts will fluctuate. He'll be like super high, and then he'll be manageable, and his walks will do the same with that. So I don't really understand what his mindset is. Every year it fluctuates. You never know what you're getting with him year to year. Also, the thumbs down thing was quite possibly the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So, yeah, I think he's a negative guy in the clubhouse. I know that the Mets were trying to change their clubhouse this year after last year. They didn't even want him, which is telling. He's now in Detroit. Have fun there, because, no offense to Detroit, but it's Detroit. But, yeah, I don't know. He definitely can sell tickets, put seats, or could fill seats. But I think he's the kind of guy who wears thin on teammates and teams and management and all that. He's got a great baseball IQ when he wants to use it, like that pop-up where he ran to first and back. Really smart play. But he also does stuff where it makes you scratch your head. So he's a little bit of a mixed bag. But like Dan said, a hell of a MLB logo tattoo on his neck. I mean,
Yeah. And one thing, not to harp on Baez before I go to my 9, is thinking about Detroit, because I forgot that really factored into where I ranked him as well. I think I raised his average from what his average had been like traditionally, or what it was expected to be last year, because I do think he's going to have a lot more doubles in situations in that park. But his homers, I think if he was playing with the Mets, I'd have him over 30 homers. But I had him at like 26, 27. I think it's going to be, not that he ever gets cheapies, but that ballpark's tough to hit homers in out there in Comerica. Yeah. That is a big, big ballpark. And he's a pull hitter, which will help him there. But, I mean, I think he's going to – the power numbers might come down a little bit because he's playing in Comerica.
I mean, he also played at Wrigley for a while too, and the ball can fly out of that place, especially in the summertime. So,
yeah. But getting into my number 9, we have the aforementioned Trevor Story. Just to be clear, I don't think I said it, Bobby Witt is my number 9 for fantasy. Okay, number 10 for real life. Story is number 9 for real life, number 8 for fantasy. I said it before. Like his metrics are like, they don't jump off the page at you. I was a huge Story guy when he came up. He strikes out a lot, very fast. He's a great base stealer in general. I'm afraid at a Coors Field, I was the biggest Nolan guy, and then when he moved to St. Louis, I was off him. I don't like to be a huge Coors Field effect guy, but I don't know how to even say it. I think last year's pretty much what he's going to be. Like, it's not like his numbers were much different than it's expected, and I know like mental health does not like play into your expected numbers, so like obviously they wouldn't change. But going to a place outside of Colorado, that average is going to come down, and I think it's going to be hard for him to sustain over 30 homers. We don't know where he's going. I guess he could still go back to Colorado, and if he did, I think he would probably jump to. But if he goes back to Colorado, I'd got to shake the GM of the Colorado's hand and be like, listen, man, this is about 6 times you've made this mistake. We need. You didn't even get anything for him unless you're bringing him back on a 1-year deal to try and trade him at the deadline this time and actually get something for him. God bless. But he's going to be gone. I have him at 27 bombs, a 270 average, 340 on base, and 23 steals. The defense is in, the leadership is in. But these, speed and power with an above 270 average and a 340 on base. Shortstop's good. So that's a really good player. I just think there's 8 guys that I'd rather have in real life above him.
Yeah, I'll talk about him in a little bit.
He's coming up.
And I see what you're saying about the Coors effect. I always just try to kind of push it out. I remember him talking on an interview that with Coors, it's like you come out of Coors and you're so drained because it's the altitude, and maybe if he's staying in the same spot, if he's staying in the same level for most of the year, maybe he just adjusts to it. He's still a solid guy, and I don't know. We'll talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I have to start off the next one, right? Yeah.
Did you give me? Sean jumped me.
Sean jumped you. Yeah.
I'd Javi.
All right. So you guys already talked about this guy, so we'll make it quick. But I went with Franco for number 8, Wanda Franco. I'm a sucker for young guys. I like when Juan Soto came up, when Tatis comes up. I even we'll talk about other people, but with Wander, I'll watch a good amount of him because he's so highly rated as a prospect, and I kind of like his presence on the field. I think that he's not going to be your top defense shortstop. And with offense, and you harped on the power stuff.
Hey man, I didn't like his take. No, he'll be. Oh, is he there? I was hoping he was going to say he projects as a 40 homer guy.
I think.
Well, there he is.
He's built.
Oh. Guys, this has been the 10th Inning Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. All right. Sean,
Oh God.
who's your 8th shortstop?
My 8th shortstop is Tim Anderson.
Hey, I'm back.
Oh,
okay.
So we heard I watched a lot of him, and then he's built 30 seconds later, but nothing else in between.
Yeah, I was talking to myself. I was like, you guys were looking at me. I was like, what did I say wrong? Completely frozen. I'll just say real quick. He's built big for a 20-year-old, and I think power comes with age. And I think he has some significantly good discipline at the plate. I mean, it's only been 70 games, but a 12% strikeout rate with like a 7.8% walk rate is what you would want out of anybody who's playing shortstop or playing anywhere on the field.
Yeah.
I think I heard something about Tim Anderson.
I love you.
Yeah, my 8th is Tim Anderson. There's something I really like about him. He's got kind of the swagger, the it factor. I really like. I've said it before. I really like the Chicago White Sox team. I like the players on the team. Tim Anderson is a guy who's going to hit for a high average. He's got a little bit of pop, nothing like crazy, but he's kind of a guy who I don't know. You can okay, he had 17 home runs last year. I mean, it's a little more than I thought. But yeah, no, he does have more pop than I thought. I'm sorry for that take there. I don't know what I was thinking, but please forgive me. Anyway, okay. Oh, thank you. Tim Anderson. Yeah, I agree with you guys are saying. He does not walk whatsoever. Strikes out a little more than I'd like. So as a result, his on base percentage, could definitely be higher. But what the guy does is he hits. I mean, he was the batting champion in 2019 with 335 average. He's a decent defender, as we've discussed earlier, obviously. But he's just I like him as a guy. Like, I mean, you compare him to Javier Baez. Javier Baez is one, also has a personality. And so does Tim Anderson, but Tim Anderson's a personality you want to have on your team. He's good in the clubhouse, and I just like Tim Anderson.
Javi, if you're watching the podcast, Jav, we'd love to have you on. We all love your style of play. I don't want you to come away from this thinking that we don't like you, because I actually like you. I like you as a player.
Yeah. I love what he brings to the field.
100%.
I do too. Yeah. But I like what Tim Anderson brings to the clubhouse.
And we'll talk about my 8th short. Are you done, Sean? Or you got?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay, so my 8th shortstop. I feel like I'm gonna have to backtrack when I disagree with Matt, because really it's gonna come out that I technically agree with him the whole time. It's gonna be Xander Bogaerts a little bit here. Okay. And the reason you're gonna see that I agree, I think he's 8th in real life, but I think he's 5th in fantasy. That defense, man, that is a roughy. It ain't it's not great. But so, well, I'll say this, I'll preface it this way. 5 through 8, I think you could have jumbled it any way. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 4 guys. I literally sat there for about 25 minutes just trying to figure out where these 4 guys should order. Xander kept falling for me, and I was like, why? I would have had him as the best if you would have just asked me off the top of my head. I would have had him at 5. But 23 bombs, a 290 average, 365 on base with 6 steals, defense and leadership 4.5. Didn't get to 5 only because his leadership got a 4. That's still not good, folks. He struggled a little bit, I think, at the end of last year. He's starting to get kind of up there. What is he, 30? Oh, he's 29. But he struggled a little bit at the end of last year. I'm not too concerned. The guy's been one of the more consistent players we've had over the last 5 years. Big fan of Xander. It's just in real life, the defense definitely hurts, and he doesn't have enough power. And there's more guys with the even higher average and higher on base that are just, and speed, that are just going to pass him up for me.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to talk about him very soon.
There you go. Maddie, back to you.
And then I'm starting us off again. All right, a guy I really like, Bichette. We'll just start off. I'm not going to give any intro to him. He's young. He hasn't played that many games. I think it's like 234 games, so a little over a season.
Yeah,
and a half, I guess. But he's a consistently average guy, like batting average guy, 300. On base is pretty solid, around 350-ish. I mean, obviously you want that higher, but that's why he's 7-ish. What are we on, 7, right? Yeah. He's a slugger. Like, I like what he brings with that part of his bat, and I think his defense is right there in the middle of the pack, or even on the higher end of that middle of the pack. He's not like the most elite, but he's definitely someone who's going to be there and just take control. You want someone that can field the ground balls. He's going to field the ground balls for you and make every play you need. So I have him at 7.
I like that.
Yeah.
Who do you got at 7?
7, I have the aforementioned X-Man, Xander Bogaerts. He's a guy I've always really liked for whatever reason. I mean, he plays for the Red Sox and he does well against the Yankees, so that's good enough in my book. Yeah, it's a tough one. Really anyway, he watched the playoffs this year. He showed how clutch he was, and I put a lot of value in that. Dan knows I'm a guy who likes that kind of trait, I guess you want to call it, the it factor, the intangible. Yeah. But yeah, his defense, as we've discussed ad nauseum, is not great, but he brings a lot to the table offensively, and the guy seems to almost be getting better every year, offensively, that is. Has pop, hits for a good average, and he's a huge part of that team. I think he's probably the second most important player in that lineup behind Rafael Devers, Dan's guy. We'll talk about him next week. But yeah, I just think that he's a really good player, and I wanted to rate him higher than I did, but I just couldn't justify it. But like Dan was saying, I agree that the 2 to 8 or 2 to 5, whatever position he said, really tough to rank. It really could almost be interchangeable. But yeah, Xander Bogaerts, my number 7.
I like it, man. I like it. This was another guy. I was assumed this guy was gonna be the 8th best. I really thought going into it was like, there's no way this guy makes my top 10. I hate him so much, and everyone overrates him so much. Ended up beating out Xander, which, like, again, I try to do this as objectively as possible, and that's why this really pained me that he ended up at 7 for real life and 7 for fantasy. Again, that does mean I think Xander's a better fantasy shortstop. It's Carlos Correa. Yeah, I don't like this guy. You guys probably might even have him higher. Listen, can we just be frank about something real quick? This is the first full year, by the way, he played less than 150 games he's had since 2016. I mean, and the A-Rod comp, we need to stop it with this bullshit. A-Rod comp. Let me know when he hits over 25 homers in a season. Let me know. And he hit 26 last year. You could let me know that. But that was the most he's ever hit. And he had a decent year. And his his BABIP was rational, unfortunately. Like, that was fair. Like, what he did was fair. The metrics back it up. I wish they didn't, but they do, unfortunately. But the last 3 years before this, his expected batting average was like 220. All right. He broke out a little bit, finally. Whatever. I think exactly what he did last year is exactly what he's going to do this year. And that makes him a top 7 shortstop with 26 bombs, 282 average, a 350 on base, 0 steals. He's got no speed. I don't know where the A-Rod comp comes from, because he's not really athletic, as in he's athletic like defensively. He's one of the better defensive shortstops. You got a 2 for defense and leadership. Again, one of those guys where, although I hate his leadership, he is the leader on that team. He might not even be on the Astros, though. And he's a decent defender. Won the Gold Glove, Platinum Glove, I think. But as I said, Nicky Lopez easily should have beat him out. That was episodes ago, though. But what I'm trying to say, he's very stiff. Like, he's very big body, and he's too stiff to be athletic as far as like speed and running the bases. I'm not happy about anything I said, man. I think he's a top 7 shortstop.
Do you know what time it is?
What time, Sean?
No, it's Correa. Great time.
Yeah, I think the A-Rod comp with Correa is that he's just big and weird.
And they're both kind of assholes, too.
Yeah. The weird. That's the weird part. I mean, they're just like odd, kind of want to fight you, but like, I feel like they would back down from a fight if you started one.
Yeah, no, I just don't like him, man.
They both cheat.
Hope he goes to the Yankees.
I mean, A-Rod cheated, Correa cheated, Man,
I can't, man. I'm just gonna move on. So number 6, right outside the top 5. This was, I want to say, surprising, but also not. It's been a weird last couple of years. I have Francisco Lindor there. I know you want him higher, Sean. I know you love him. He's on your team, this and that. He is still one of the like a top 5 defender. I don't know where you put him in there with that. But and his stat cast is nice. He's very middle of the pack to upper pack for a lot of his stats there. A lot of like pinkish on that Savant page. He's such a good player, but I think that the people above him, I just feel like I'd rather them on my team, if that makes any sense. I think that he still provides a lot of value. I think his offense in terms of home runs are pretty good. I think you could do a little bit more there, but he still has always a good OPS because he gets on base. He's still fast. He can still steal some bags. A little bit. Yeah, he can still steal some bags. I just want to see how he plays a little bit next year. I think I'll stop rambling, but he's around. He's my 6.
Sean, I'm gonna jump you because he's also my 6th ranked shortstop.
Same for me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to jump me?
This is the first time I think we've ever had 3
Wow.
people, aside from maybe number 1 of a ranking.
You want to go first or second?
I mean, I'm just gonna like basically say, worst GM ever. I mean, you basically recommended half the moves the Mets made last year. None of them worked out. Javier Baez was one of them, but we've already talked enough about him. I don't really have too much to add other than I hope he does well because we're paying him for the next 10 years, and he's 27, so he's gonna be 30.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that.
And I feel like I said everyone told you, not that you were making the decision, Sean, but everyone's like, Sean, he's had like a year and a half of like really get it going down, like before they signed this. Like, I don't know, why are they doing this? And
He's got a hell of a smile, though. I mean, to pay all that money for that smile.
And again, I think that's going to come back later with me and Matt. I have him at 6 and 6 for fantasy as well. Keep in mind, guys, we haven't found out the 10th ranked fantasy player yet. So that's exciting stuff. So Lindor is 6th. I think he's going to hit 28 bombs, 265 average. The on base is so much lower than I thought. It was a 335, 16 steals, and I have him as not number one, but he got the grade of 1 for defense and leadership. I think he's the best in the league at both. Not the best, but within the top 3 in the league at both, which for me is fantastic. I want him there defending and short. I think he's a good leader. A beautiful smile. Listen, he's a nice player. He's very confusing to me. I mean, he's in the elite club of players, in my opinion, that have ever been the best player in baseball at a certain point in time, an extended period of time. I think for a year and a half, he was, if you were to ask most GMs, the best player in baseball, or the player you'd want to start your franchise with. If you started a redraft league, he'd be picked 1. And there's something to be said for that because there's a lot of potential still left in him. It's just been a while now where we haven't seen it. But even being said, he's just out of the top 5. So that just, gives credence to how great of a player he is. But it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I feel the vibe around Lindor is that we're all saying like, oh, I wish he could be a little bit more. Like, I want him to be a top 5 because he's shown such greatness. And it seems like a very, I don't know what the word to describe it though, but like, I'm not like, we're not like so happy about putting him 6. We wish he that's what, yeah.
Oh, believe me, I wish I could put him at 1, but I couldn't justify that.
Maybe in 2018, but yeah, well along from then. So now we're starting top 5.
Top 5, baby.
You still want me to start? Are you sure?
Oh, yeah. You're the whole time, everyone.
All right. I got Trevor Story here. I know you had him low, Dan. And
listen.
I had him I was with top 5, I had 1, 2, 3-ish. I felt like pretty confident on, and then 4, 5, it flip-flopped a couple times. We'll get to that. Trevor Story, I think we just got to get him out of Colorado. I mean, I think that if he goes out of Colorado, he can keep up some of these numbers. I mean, the reason that he's 5 and not 4, which you'll see in a little bit, is because I think when he goes out of Colorado, some of these numbers might drop, like slugging. I mean, he's going out of course. Slugging from like a career of like 500. You see that's going to go down. On base is like a little lower end for these top guys, but I think he's still good at defense. I think he can steal bags with like an IQ rather than speed, which I like a lot.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like if I built a shortstop, that's what I would build. Trevor Story.
I don't know how this keeps happening, but I also have Trevor Story at number 5. I don't know. We didn't talk about this prior, but we have very similar rankings so far. Trevor Story. Oh, there we go. I'd like to see his average go up a bit. I also wouldn't mind him seeing he doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, have to leave Colorado. He just has to get on a team that's good, which probably means leaving Colorado.
Most other teams.
Yeah. I don't know where he goes, to be honest with you, as far as he signs free agency. But he's kind of a player that has had a very year-to-year based success, I think. And when he burst on the scene his rookie year and hit all those home runs, then he kind of fell off for a little bit in a sense. He kind of came roaring back. Like he's very inconsistent, I believe. If you look at his numbers, they're good. They're not great. They're good. Could be better. Definitely could be worse. Guy strikes out a lot, which I don't like personally at all. But that's kind of who he is. He gets a lot of home runs, gets RBIs, but strikes out a lot. Kind of more of the 3 true outcome kind of guy.
Yeah. I already spoke about Trevor Story. I do think he's a good ball player. And again, like I'm not shocked by his ranking by you guys. I think it's fair. A lot of these guys are very, very similar. Even my projections, like between homer and average, is like maybe 3 homers and 10 points in average. So it's very close. But going to my number 5, real life. And guys, I don't like this. I'm just gonna be frank with you. I don't like anything about it. Number 10 for fantasy though, I got Tim Anderson. And I know this is wild out here. I went in thinking maybe he was like 8 or 9. And like when I did, he was in that list of Anderson, Lindor, Correa, and Xander. And he just kept, well, he's better than him. I'd rather have him than him. And like he just ended up at 5. 22 bombs, a 310 average, a 335 on base. Like as much as he doesn't walk, he still gets on base at a decent clip. He got on base 338 last year. 2 years before that, 357, 357. Guys, getting near 360 is almost an elite on base. He just hits so much, like he's still on base. Like I know the walks are down, but he transfers so much of that with singles, and he's got enough speed to like beat out hits, and that's why his average is sustainable. So I don't know. A 335 on base is still the lowest he's had in the last 4 years. So I'm projecting him to go down with 22 bags. That's a 2020 guy. I think as a leader, he's like top 5 leader as a shortstop, and defense. I think he's probably the 5th best defensive ranked shortstop. So like he checks both boxes. He's got enough power to where I think he's going to hit 20 plus in a full season. Enough speed, 20 plus in a full season. 335 is the same as Lindor, and he's going to hit 50 to 60 points higher in average than Lindor, in my opinion. I don't know, and like it just happened. I don't like Correa, and Bogaerts doesn't defend enough, and they got similar enough offensive profiles. Number 5 ranked shortstop. Tell me why I'm wrong, please. I don't know.
I love TA.
Yeah, he'll give you a 2020 season. I think probably every year, which is kind of cool. I didn't look as what he's been doing, but he's just think of 2020. I think of Tim Anderson. Still 20 bags, 20 home runs.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I think of COVID.
All right. Next up.
Yeah.
Well, we talked enough about Tim Anderson. This one pains me. I didn't want to do it, but I put Carlos Correa number 4.
Oh my God. All right. What is up with this? We are getting the same exact rankings because I have Correa right here.
Well,
yeah, I wonder how the next 3 go for you, Sean. If we have the next 3, we might as well just transfer into the same body. There's no point in sharing this earth. I didn't want to put him forward, but I just kept looking at it, and he's really good at defense. The arm is really, really good. I've watched too much of it, and it pains me every time. Defensive run saved, he's one of the top ends. I mean, the Brandon Crawford is the best there, but then it's like Correa and Story-ish, depending on career. But he's just like the way that he hits his stat line is just he's gonna do like you said, Dan, that he's just gonna hit the same thing every single year. He's gonna get you like an 830 plus ish area, like four slugging's a little bit under 5. He's gonna hit you 270 or whatever, 3 and he's gonna get on base. I don't know. He just fit number 4. You want him to play shortstop as much as you don't want him to play shortstop.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add to that other than the fact where I didn't realize how long he's been in the league, because he's had some good years. He kind of had a little bit of a low in the middle, but has picked it back up. Contract year, which
is this
motivating factor.
Right.
And I don't know. I still think
That's
deep down inside he'll re-sign there in Houston, even though it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. I just don't see him coming to the Yankees after what he said. Which I may agree with what he said. I don't know.
You could just stop there. Because we're doing a present day shortstop ranking.
Yeah.
When making this list, I didn't want to factor in injury prone or like they didn't play a full season, just because you get one full season out of one of these guys, they're going to give you their best. So I thought you can't judge by too much of the past with some of the injuries unless it's like Tommy John. But that's Didi. Please.
He didn't make any of your guys just missed either. Or is he?
I had him. He was on my just missed, but I wanted to let you present him because I think that was fair.
All right.
No, he wasn't on mine.
Yeah.
I wanted to put it.
It's on another list.
We're at 4, right? Yeah.
We're at 4. Yeah.
I'm gonna give my PSA announcement as I do once per episode. I don't have a New York player, unfortunately, for shortstop because they're moving. Everyone's moving out of that position. We don't have one yet. And Lindor made 6th. So my PSA today is going to be Tristan Costas. You guys are wild. Everybody out there thinks he's so effing great, best first base prospect. Go screw yourselves. I don't like him. I think he's literally Matt Olson 2.0. He's big, lefty swing, looks loopy. He'll play for Matt probably in 2 years and get maybe 800 fantasy points. Okay? I don't like Tristan Costas. I want it known now. I don't want, and at any point people to ask me, how do you feel about Tristan Costas? You're high on him? Don't like him. I think he's garbage. I think he's so overrated as a prospect. That's all I got. I think he's going to strike out 55% of the time in Major League level. That's it.
What provoked it?
Man, I do a lot of prospecting now, and I'm getting into buying baseball cards. And everyone's like, "Oh, this Tristan Costas guy." I'm like, "Yo, there's like 5 other first base prospects I'd rather have than Tristan Costas."
I don't even know that name. That's how far down he probably is. Because I do research. I do a lot of research, and
I know
name
you do. I think he's like Turner's like a top 30 prospect. No, I'm deep. I'll never get
top
back.
30 is top 130 for you. So
yeah. Tristan Costas will win the MVP in the next 5 years. Book it right now. Put your money on it. I'm sure. My number 4 shortstop. I'm the highest on this guy. A little bit surprised, actually. I am going with Bichette. I think he's 4th in real life, 4th in fantasy. I have him at 31 bombs, a 306 average, a 345 on base, and 24 steals. I don't think he's going to be a 30-30 guy, but he could be a 30-20 guy. The defense is the leadership is still but I think within the next 2 or 3 years, it could be fantastic. He's got a good baseball background, and he's got a good head on his shoulders and a good head of hair as on that head on the shoulders. But there's no reason you're going to tell me he's going to hit under 300. I mean, his expected batting average last year was 292 or something like that. And people normally hit, when they're good hitters, about 10 points higher than that. I think he's going to be a 300 hitter he had 29 bombs last year. I don't see, I think basically I have him doing exactly what he did last year, because I think everything he did last year was pretty much, I mean, if you look at the numbers expected to what he did, like literally within like 0.05 of everything is what he did. And that's 30, 25, and a 300 average, which is, in my opinion, filthy. So I got Bo. Yeah.
It's tough because, I mean, when you get down from that, like you said, that 1 to 7 or 8, they're all so close. It's where do you put them? But I like that out of you.
Did you guys see that his dad worked for the Blue Jays, but quit so that he could train with his son this offseason with Bo this offseason because he couldn't because he was with the team with the lockout.
That's so cute.
That's adorable.
I hope he gets his job back when the lockout's over.
I'm
We'll be
also.
ruining careers.
What job did he have?
Like it's an advice. He used to play. Like his dad was a good
No,
player.
I know. For some reason when you said that, I thought he was like working like as a convenda, and I was like, well, I hope his money situation didn't go that.
No. I think it was like an
Certainly almost
advisor or like a
I
scout
mean,
or something.
yeah.
Front office.
Good.
Assistant something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for
It's
Don.
cute.
It's a good father-son story, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Matt, I think you got to go top 3 here. Man.
Number 3, top 3.
Don't say what I'm gonna. Don't.
I don't know. You might. This was very difficult for me.
Everyone
I don't know if I can justify it. But Corey Seager, number 3.
All right, we got different ones. Good.
Okay. Thank God. Let's start off as baseball savant. Amazing. His bat, especially as a lefty bat, is just to die for. He is such a good. His bat's so good. With the numbers, I mean, he backs it up with everything. I mean, he's top. He is OBP top. I think there's only one person I think might be a little bit better there. He's OPS. He's top 3. I think what just brought it down was that he's not one of those elite defenders. He's not better than he's probably not even better than Anderson. I put Anderson 10, but his bat is just so good that he deserves to be top 3, and he's a lefty too. Let's not forget.
Sean, I'm gonna jump you. I can't tell you how much this pains me. Well, no, listen, I tried to be objective. The injuries are real, but if we're just going hitter, I say this a lot. All right, he's probably the 4th best hitter in the league. Okay, we're just hitting the ball. The guy's fucking filthy. I feel like there's a lot of slander going on around him. That not slander, but no one says that. No one openly. Like people talk about Carlos Correa. Yeah, he just never really had a full season. He plays 100 games, but look at those numbers. It's like, I'm sorry, but Corey Seager would be like twice what Carlos Correa is if he did that. And I feel like people don't say it. And Seager's playing in LA. Like, what does he got to do? He's playing in prime time and people. And I guess he's got so many stars around him. It's tough. Cody's winning MVPs, and he's got Mookie. And I don't know, man. But Corey Seager was the best hitter on the Dodgers. They're going to miss him sorely. Whatever. I have him as the 3rd best real life and the 3rd best fantasy as well, even though I think he's a better hitter than some of the other guys. You know, the speed and stuff does come into play with the top 2 guys as well for me. But defense and leadership, I have it at 3.5. I think he's a great leader. He is like Mr. Clutch too. We're talking about MVP in the World Series, right? This was the guy that won the Dodgers the World Series. Went crazy in the playoffs. Just a quick stat line: 30 homers, a 315 average, a 398 on base. And I think these are conservative, by the way. Easily 400 on base. No steals. But 30, 315, 398. Give me baby Sigs all day. In Texas, which, believe it or not, has shown to be a better hitting park than LA. So,
and if it was Yankee Stadium, what would you say? Where would you put him?
40.
He would probably be easily number 2 if it was in Yankee Stadium. I think Corey Seager would hit 35 plus in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, just pop up to right field. Man. Okay.
35
Sean,
plus. Easy.
I have one qualm. Not one stolen base. Not a single stolen base.
I got him 0 this year.
Howard Pujols had a stolen base last year. May I remind you?
I hear you. All right. I hear you.
He had us one.
I think Texas, they say, Corey, we're not even. No, let's not do it today.
Don't get hurt. Just relax.
Just stand up there and swing. So my number 3, I have Trey Turner.
Thank you. Someone had to do it. Fuck him.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's fair.
Okay. Trey Turner. Really, this was really tough. Top 3 for me was really tough. Trey Turner easily could have been number 1, could have been number 2. Like, it's really tough. I love Trey Turner. I mean, I seen him play in the NL East for all those years and just destroy the Mets. The guy, insane base stealer, got a lot of speed, hits for an average, strikes out a lot, but he still hits for a high average. He's gotten better with that too since he's come up. Good defender. I mean, he didn't handle second base very well, but He's a shortstop, and that's why we're talking about him now. Dave doesn't like putting people in their position, and so hopefully they should replace Short, and he doesn't have him out like catcher or some shit like that. Who knows? But Trey Turner is my number 3. I just stolen base is it is being diminished, and I think that is a really important part of the game that's getting overlooked. I mean, in the playoffs, when you see stolen bases tick up, and it's just kind of odd to me because if you're going to win that way in the postseason, why can't you win that way in the regular season? But that's a topic for another day. But he brings that to the table. I mean, he hit 328 last year. That's enough said right there. OBP 375, great. OPS over 900, which is fantastic. Like I said, strikes out a bit much, but you can deal with that when he's putting up those numbers. And for as far as I can tell, he's a good guy too. The players in the clubhouse like him, and he's just an all-around good player. I like Trey Turner quite a bit.
And rounding out my number 2, Trey Turner. For everything that Sean you just said, that's why he's number 2. He is still so fast, and he's been just slowly improving in everything that he does, especially his power. And everything you said was perfect, and that's exactly why I have him just a tick above Seager.
Rounding out my number 2, we're gonna go Trey Turner. I think he's second in real life, also second in fantasy. It's okay. I have Trey and Seager, so it really doesn't bother me too much. It didn't really kill me. I think he's gonna have 26 bombs, a 314 average. He doesn't walk at all, and he's still got a 382 on base, which is just buggy out of the guy with 35 homers. He has a chance to be a 30-30 guy, but I don't think in LA he's going to get 30 homers. I think he's going to be around 25, like I said. The defense is questionable. He's an athlete. I almost rather him in center field. And to be frank, there's a great shot he's playing in LA. So he's probably going to play a lot of his games in the outfield, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I don't love him at short. I know he loves to play it. But that's like me trying to hit lefty, A lot of times what you like ain't the best for the organization. And I don't like his leadership, man. I'm sorry. I don't like him as a leader. I'm a little bit pissed off because I think we chose him over Corey. And listen, I have him. They made the right decision on my list. However, I don't know. He wasn't clutch, man. I mean, if you watch that postseason, he almost lost us the playoffs. I've never seen a guy with 98 percentile speed hit into so many double plays in my life. All he does is hit double play. I don't know how it's possible.
It's crazy.
I guess he hits the ball hard, but I mean, every time, big situation, here comes Trey, double play. Every time. Very unfortunate. Second best shortstop in baseball, Trey Turner.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's getting high on him. I don't know if it's been like this the last couple of years, but I feel like he really took that top 3 spot. Like the last couple of years.
I think people really noticed him when the Nationals won on the World Series run. I think people because they finally kind of got in the spotlight and saw how good of a player he was. Anyway, my top 2, my number 2 is Fernando Tatis Jr. and Dan. Yes, you know what that means.
Tell me more about Fernando. I'm going to give you 30 minutes to give you number 1. Tell me about it.
So Nando Jr. Okay. Well, guy I drafted first overall in the Dynasty League, which I may or may not have regretted last year because Juan Soto was just that good, and I may have overlooked him. But it's the fact I'm saying that when he still put up 42 bombs and 97 ribbies, and I'm still saying that Juan Soto might have been a better player, just shows you how good Juan Soto is. Also, the injury history and potential for future injuries is a major concern for Tatis. He dislocated his shoulder multiple times last year and literally, I don't think he's got surgery yet, but literally could not move it at points in the season, which is a huge issue moving forward. But on the other end, he put up those numbers in 130 games last year. That's 32 less games. And yeah, that's right. I could do math. Believe it or not. But he's 22 years old. I think the sky's the limit for him. Yeah. Negative, he strikes out a lot. mind you, in 130 games, he struck out 153 times. Now, I don't mean to keep bringing up Javier Baez. Javier Baez, I think, led the league in strikeouts with 184, I believe. That's not that far off when you think about it. And he played 32 less games than, or maybe not necessarily 32 less, but he could have played a lot more games.
Friend of the pod, Javi. Friend of the pod.
As far as defense goes, he could definitely improve, but as we've talked before, his athleticism may make him, or might be worse off for him at short, because he may get to balls that other shortstops can't, and because of it, that he doesn't make the play, and it makes him look bad, when in reality, the fact he got the ball, that play at the middle, is a heck of a play. That play at the middle, though. But he has played a little bit of center field. They have a top prospect, top 100 prospect, I think top 20 prospect, is a shortstop down in the minor league system who's probably a year or two away. So him at the shortstop, for Fernando Tatis, him at shortstop may not be set in stone. But he's a super athletic guy, so he probably could play a lot of other positions if need be. Mind you, he plays for the Padres and not the Dodgers, so we don't know if that's going to be the case. But yeah, Fernando Tatis Jr. is my number 2.
Matt, do you have CJ Abrams still?
Yeah. I'm excited for him to.
Is that who you were referencing, Sean? CJ?
Yeah, CJ.
What was that?
You were referencing CJ Abrams.
Yeah, if he's not here at the end of this year, you probably see him next year. I think he got like a foot injury, and he was like really peaking. So, so thanks, Sean, again for doing my dirty work. Number 1 overall on my list is Tatis. You just go to his baseball savant. I mean, I said Seager's baseball savant was nice. I mean, 100 percentile for slugging. He is the best at everything. He's got 99, 98. It is gross. I just threw his defense out the window because I think the older that he gets, he'll like relax a little bit, be a little bit more mature. He's got Manny Machado taking care of him. I mean, that guy grew up a little bit from what he used to be.
Yeah, I don't like him.
God, Manny Machado taking care of anybody is the thought right there.
He was a little bit of a leader last year, yelling at him in the middle of the game.
He did. He improved a lot, but he grew up. He went through his adolescent years as a Dodger, and let me tell you, I don't ever want to see that guy again.
That's completely fair.
Bro, he doesn't throw bats at third baseman anymore when he swings. Slips out of his hand.
He just grew up. Yeah. But yeah, rounding off Tatis, because you said just everything I needed to say already. If you can still hear me, I know I'm lagging a little bit.
No, I hear you.
Okay. He's just great, and I think he'll improve everything with age. Dan, 100%. Take it away.
I'm gonna jump you, Sean, for 2 reasons. 1, I have Tatis. 2, I gotta have you go last, pal. This guy Tatis, man, he's not bad. I wanted to hate him. I don't love him. I don't know why. I normally like players like this. There's something about him I don't love. I don't think it's like his personality. I think his personality is, it's not like Javi. Well, geez. It's not like bad. It's just like he's very flashy. I don't know. I think I'm going to come around on Tatis. But I think he's best in real life. I think he's best for fantasy for sure. Defense and leadership, I think he's at a 3.5. His defense, like Sean said, I mean, he was great 2 years ago and then was shitty last year. A lot of it was throwing. And I think throwing mechanics can be more easily fixed than footwork. If you ask me, that's my personal opinion as a middle infielder at the age of 12 years old. And, leadership, he has the potential to be a great leader. I mean, he's just that guy. He's already taken on. He's probably the second biggest leader in that clubhouse, maybe third. Is Hosmer still there?
Yeah.
For
now. Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, and listen, I'm going to read this flash line, guys. I'm uncomfortable about it. I think he's going to steal 28 bags. We're going backwards here. I think he's going to hit 375 on base with a 286 average. And I just got to be frank with everybody here. I think the man gets an even 50 spot. I think he hits 50 homers this year. And I don't think that's a wild take, unfortunately. I think he was expected to hit more homers than he did last year, and he hit 42 and 130. I think he gets 50, man. It's unfortunate. Fortunate for him. I love him.
I like him, as many home runs as possible because he's my number one player.
Yeah, I hear you. Tell me why he's not. He's really just not. Tell me why Seager is. Unless you pull out Didi and he a friggin' hat and Seager was not even an honorable mention, I'd take it. I would take that.
Honorable number one, Didi. So number one, cat's out of the bag for me is Corey Seager. Now, if you look at the stats, right, just look at them with no reference whatsoever, no background, nothing. You're like, wow, this guy, he's good. Could be better. Stats aren't going to blow you away, but he's injured a lot, which I know factors negatively into what we're going for here. But he's 27 years old, right? 27 years old. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's still got a lot of time left. And when he is healthy, he really, really is a hell of a player. I mean, it's kind of a layman's way to say, no, I don't have like advanced stats, but you just watch him and, he's really underrated and disrespected as Dan, you know that one very well. But he has the clutch gene. I mean, he won the World Series MVP. Am I wrong? Right? You
are not wrong, babe.
Thank you. And he just has that under pressure, just able to perform. I won't really read off too many of the stats aside from he as I said, he's been injured. But in the years he's played, 3 seasons where he's played over 130 games, OPS wise, fantastic. He's almost 900 OPS in 2 of the 3 seasons, and then still had over 800 OPS in the other. 2-time All-Star. Strikes out a lot, but who doesn't at this point? But when he's healthy, he is, in my opinion, the best shortstop in all of baseball. He may not have the flash or the pizzazz that a Fernando Tatis has, or a Javier Baez has, or even a Tim Anderson has. But I think he kind of just goes out there and gets the job done.
I'm going to jump off you, man. I feel like I didn't say enough when I spoke about him third. The one thing I will say is last year, I'm just going to bring up one stat. He came back last year and he only played – how many games did he play last year, Sean?
I think it was like 90.
He played 95 games, right? He finished the year, Matt, I'm going to tell you this. He finished the year with a 306 average and a 394 on base, okay? Pre-All-Star break, just so you know, about half of the games he played last year, at that point, he was hitting 265. Just so everyone's aware. He was still injured for he was just coming back from injury, and he struggled for the first 2 months of his 90 games. Okay. After he was back in the swing of it, he hit 335 with a 420. Okay. When he finally got healthy and the homers came back, with 12 homers in about 55 games. He'll never hit 265. I don't think he's going to hit 335 is unreasonable. I feel like I was also conservative with my numbers, so I don't want to go crazy. I wouldn't be shocked if the guy hit over 320 this year. I just really wouldn't with an over 400 on base. I love Corey Seager.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
That is.
Matt, do you want to quickly run through our secondary list?
Yes. Yeah. So my girlfriend is visiting me this weekend. She lives in Connecticut. And so she's here right now. I'm filming the podcast with you guys. And I thought, let's get her involved a little bit. She's not going to come and read the list, but I have her list here. Yeah. And the list that she made is the top 10 shortstops based on how cute they are.
Yeah.
I love this.
So what I did is I had a list of 18 guys that I felt were going to be the shortstops for this year. I didn't take any randoms. People that are going to play. I did leave off people like Nicky Lopez because I think Bobby Witt's going to take that. I didn't take into consideration Bobby Witt because he's hasn't played in Major League yet. But I'm just going to start it off. And I think, Dan, you might have something to do with this as well.
Oh, I made mine, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to start out with her number 10. And there's no numbers thrown in here. It's just they're kind of just graded together. Her number 10, she gave Carlos Correa. She didn't like it, but because he's an Astro. She's a Yankee fan. Carlos Correa. Next up is going to probably hurt Dan, do you want to go? You want to go back and forth a little bit, or do you want me to go through the list?
We can go back and forth quickly if you
All
want.
right, let's see. What do you got for number 10?
Oh, first of all, I got to say about Carlos Correa. I think he's overrated, attractively wise. I didn't give grades either, like face 10, body 10. I didn't go that. We just went straight feel. Number 10 for me, I went Bobby Witt Jr. I did. Good-looking young kid.
You know what? If I threw him on it, it might have been a completely different list.
Yeah.
But at number 9, we got Corey Seager. I know you probably wanted more out of that. Let's see. What do you got, Dan?
Number 9, I got Willy Adames. And listen, you're going to see during this list, I might have a little bit of a different flair or taste than other people.
We know.
My preferences are the same for male and female. So I definitely like a little bit more of that Spaniard, Spanish flair. And Willy Adames with the high fade he has going on, man. Good smile, God. Too. Good-looking guy. Guy. I might have done more research, by the way, for this list and deliberation for the rail list, just to be honest with you.
Joe, feel free to jump in whenever and say, "Oh, that's the." Just give your comments whenever. Yeah. Next up on the list, number 7, Trevor Story.
What about? I think you missed 8, babe.
I missed no. Wait, that's number 8. I just didn't read the numbers right.
You're good.
Number
8. Trevor Story, you went.
Yeah, Trevor Story.
Yeah, Trevor Story didn't make my list either. Again, you know, he just
doesn't fit the mold.
His face is a little bit too angular for me, just for me. I went number 7. I went Corey. Number 8. Thank you, babe. I went Corey Seager. Good looking young man. Real good looking young man.
Yeah. Oh, he is. This is, you probably like this a little bit more. Javier Baez, number 7.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
We'll shut in for everything else, but this
number top 7 most attractive shortstop for my girlfriend. Please.
You know, man, when I went into this, I think I started almost like I was speed dating these guys when I was doing it. So I started thinking about how it would go. Went on a date with Javi, and he didn't make my list. Friend of the pod, though. Friend of the pod. I just think
huge
personality.
Fan club. We're starting a Javi fan club.
Number 7, I went with, and you might be shocked this is this low. There's something about his face I don't love, but it's Fernando Tatis. Great body, though, and I like the hair and everything, but I got Fernando at 7.
Okay.
All right, yeah, actually, I'll comment that Tatis did not make the list, very surprisingly.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we do have at number 6, I believe, Trey Turner. She really appreciated his long hair on when he was with the Nationals, and doesn't like how he looks now as much.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a Dodger blue.
My number 6, I mean, this guy's just flying up boards for me when it's not expected. Tim Anderson. I mean, beautiful smile, really great facial features. Take a look at Tim Anderson close up. Good looking guy and built too. Very good body.
Yeah. I'll say real quick that she really liked his family. There's a picture of him and his wife and a little baby girl. She threw him number 1, and I said, "Whoa, relax. We have to talk about how he looks, not about how his family looks." Yeah. And so then we took a step back. But you'll be hearing about where he is in the list.
Yeah, there you go. Good looking.
Number 5, we got Willie Adamus. You had him on your list a little lower down, but she liked the flair he has.
I'm glad she saw what I saw. That's
she liked, on the opposite of Trey Turner, she liked him better now as a Brewer.
Yeah,
she likes the way he's definitely matured a little bit more. Looks more like a cute young man.
He looks better on the Brewers for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at 5, Matt. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, you're at 5.
So 5. I think me and your girlfriend we're going hand in hand now. I got Trey Turner. I mean, good looking guy. Do think he's better with the Nationals though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, I like that. Now number 4. This one was a little bit. She wasn't really objective. She wanted to take away all bias, and she really wanted to hone in on how they looked. This one is Didi Gregorius, number 4.
Okay.
And she did knock down a point because he was not on the Yankees anymore, and specifically that he went to the Phillies. She hates the Phillies. Yeah. So, number 4, Didi Gregorius. Beautiful eyelashes is one of her inputs.
Yeah, no, and he does. I have a friend, actually, Sarah, who constantly tells me that she thinks he's transgender.
Oh,
do you know that? No, because you played on the softball team. Because she thinks he looks like a woman because of the eyelashes. And I'm like, Sarah, he's just a very handsome, pretty-looking man. I don't know what your problem is here.
Beautiful.
Certainly a man. But for my number 4, I ended up going, and this guy is attractive but gets overhyped. They always say he's number one. He's attractive, but let's calm down. I think it's Brandon Crawford. I think he's the fourth most attractive shortstop in baseball. Listen, he's got long hair. The eyes are pretty. He's got tan skin, and that got me going a little bit. But I think people say number one a lot, and I think that's too much.
He's a giant. Knocks him down a bit.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, Crawford did not make the list, but we do have someone with long hair and really good smile. Not this tan skin, but Dansby Swanson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Handsome guy,
Number three on the list.
Dansby didn't make my list. There's something about Dansby I don't like, man, and it could be that he's white.
Yeah.
It could be.
Another friend of the pod.
My number 3 guy, and you're not going to see another white guy on this list from me. It's going to be Xander Bogaerts. I'm telling you, underrated. Take some good looks at Xander Bogaerts. I didn't think he would make the list. Good looking guy. Good look, clean skin, nice beard, good looking fella.
Mm-hmm. So what I told you that she was trying to be as objective as possible. She started off, she's like, Bogaerts, Red Sox, let's put him down to like 6. I'm like, oh, okay, look, take a look at him. We looked at so many different pictures of Bogaerts. He made her number 2.
I'm glad you guys actually did your research, because I was sitting there, there's no way he would make it. I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's a good looking fella here.
Yeah. So number 2, handsome guy. Just take a look. It's tough. It's
tough. I hate how was that similar. My number 2 guy. Listen, this guy, people don't think about him as attractive, but listen, he made 2 top 5 lists. I got Didi as the number 2 most attractive shortstop in baseball. Beautiful skin. I mean, one of the best smiles in baseball. Talk about Mr. Smile Lindor. This guy might have a better smile if you ask me.
Hope Lindor's on the list.
Yeah, so speaking of Lindor, he's not on the list. No, he's not on the list at all.
Oh, but he said he was on the list.
Sorry, I misspoke. Number 1 is Tim Anderson. Now, she jumped him up to 1 originally, and I said, whoa, relax. So then we brought him down a little bit, and he's just stunning looking, man. You zoom in on the baby, you get to the wife, and then he's just built like you said, and just chiseled jaw. I don't know. He's handsome. Go look him up.
I hear you, Matt. I had a weird route for this number 1 pick, because you come in, you like Brandon Crawford, Francisco Lindor, like everyone knows. But then you really dive in, you find out guys like Bogaerts, diamonds in the rough. Mm-hmm. And I went back to Lindor, and I'm like, man, I do kind of find him attractive though. Like he does have a really nice smile, and I love the blonde on top, like the Odell Beckham look. He's a good looking guy. He is my number 1 looking shortstop. I've told a couple people, and they've said, I don't know about that, man. I think you're overrating him. But I'm going to say true to my word. I think Francisco is the best looking shortstop in baseball. But honestly, you could get me with Tim Anderson or even Xander. I think it's very close in that top 5 area. One guy I was surprised by, Matt. I don't know if you had the same thing. Bichette. Not as attractive as I thought he would be with the hair. Almost ugly. And a friend of the pod. I have your 4th best shortstop, but didn't do it for me, man. And he's white.
Yeah, he was right off the list. It was tough. I love the hair, but it's just
the hair was couldn't do it.
I don't want to say anything else, but he's a really great player. Yeah.
Sean, did you have your list, Sean? Or?
Yeah.
No one told me about this.
I know. I couldn't even bear telling you, honestly.
I enjoyed listening to him.
If you had to off the top of your head, just give me your first one, your best.
That's tough. Wow.
Just say it. It's Lindor. We know you love it.
But that smile, though. That smile. I'm a big smile guy. Someone's got a good smile. It's like, wow. But he's got a really good smile.
Mm-hmm. You going Lindor?
Yeah, the smile.
Now, what happened? Was there like a specific characteristic about his face or body that made Lindor not even make top 10? Because that's so, like, we were so similar, and I feel like just the one is the only thing we're off on. Crazy.
Yeah, she's not a big fan of the crazy hair stuff. She likes a clean cut. Like, that's why Xander is so nice, because his beard just shaped beautifully. He's clean right there for you.
Yeah.
He's a little bit too much for him. And I think if I showed other pictures of Baez, she probably could have gotten there with him too. But Baez had I don't know. I don't know if
Friend
they're
of the
similar.
pod.
Yeah, but friend of the pod. But I think they're similar in terms of kind of craziness in terms of their look. But yeah, it was like that, the hair and then the hair. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. God, I'm not editing any of this out, Sean, to be frank with you. Anything else that we need to discuss? We don't need to discuss anything else. I can promise you that.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
No, I mean, there you guys have it. Our top 10 shortstops for this year. Our top 10 most attractive ones. Do this with your girlfriend. It could be a fun time. Make sure you get these hats, okay? The Venmo or whatever will be in the description down below. $32 a booze. Get some subs. You get $1 off. Let me pay you $1 to give you a hat. Let me do it. Force me to do it. I'd love to. Matt, anything to say about the pod today?
Oh, just I love what you guys are doing. Thanks. Thank you so much for having me on. I hope I get an invite again one of these days, but just keep on trucking, boys. It is a delight to help. You guys have really helped me get through this lockout.
Is there a position you want to come back for? We'd like to do things on the pod itself.
No, I don't have one just yet.
Okay.
If that's all right with you, yeah. I don't want to, because then I gotta commit to something. I ain't committing to anything.
I don't want you to commit to something.
Hey,
no, that'd be terrible. Zeke said he wants to do starting pitching, and I think that's just yeah.
Now you have to commit to that. See, that's the problem. That's why I don't want to say anything.
He thinks he's like the starting pitching guru, and I think
if
it's
Zeke
gonna be a bad pod.
If Zeke goes on for starting pitching, give me a call.
Okay.
I love to just yell at him.
Yeah. You could just sit there in the corner and not be a part of it. And
I'm not gonna make a list. Yeah.
No, just disagree.
Every time he says a name, just find some negative stuff about it and just berate him.
I love that. Yeah. Okay. Be like a producer in the bottom here.
Face at the end of the last episode when he said, "Oh, Altuve hit a fastball." I show him a effing slide.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, fastball.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Woo!
All right. Well, anyway, as always, like, subscribe, comment, buy some hats, get subscribers. We love you guys, and tell us if our top 10 list was great, terrible, or in between, or anything you want to say.
That's it, guys. Get ready for third base next week. I believe we might. Is Coach coming on? I don't know. We have third base next week. And Javi, comment down below. Where do you think you should have been ranked, Jav? God bless, guys. We'll see you.
Turn to the pod.